Hello everybody! So I was trying to think about what game to feature today, and I was having a tough time because I do have some new games that I do want to get featured, but I haven't played them enough, or I've only played them solo, so I want to get more plays of them and play them with other people and see if it's really as good as I think it is before I actually do a feature. So instead I decided to go back to one of my older games and feature something that I think is not necessarily underrated, because it is those who have played it do like it, but I think it's an older game, so it's not talked about as much. So I want to talk about one of my favorite games, Prodigals Club. But first, only a small amount of people that watch my videos are subscribers, so if you like what you see, consider subscribing. It only takes a second, and you can always unsubscribe later. So in Prodigals Club, you are a Victorian-era aristocrat that does not like being an aristocrat. So you're going to do everything you can to offend other members of high society. And you're going to do so by competing with other members of the Prodigals Club in 3 different areas of society. You're all going to be attempting to lower your social standing within your society, lose as much wealth as you can, and also lose as many votes as you can in an election. What's really neat about this game is that each of the 3 categories are played really differently in kind of like a little mini game. So in social standing, you're going to be attempting to move down these different tokens of men and women so that they think less of you by the end of the game. Your score in this section is the sum of where all the tokens are sitting at the end of the game. Your wealth is determined by both how much money you have and also the value of all of your possessions. So during the game, you're going to be spending money on different activities, but also you're going to be attempting to trade in your prized possession dog worth 5 coins in for a lesser dog worth only 2, thus decreasing your value by 3 coins. And lastly, votes. With votes, you're going to be attempting to create social circles in order to determine what different people like. And then you're basically just going to be making as much noise as you can in the park so that way people think you're absolutely insane, so that way they don't vote for you. With the goal obviously being as few votes as possible. Now obviously there are these 3 different areas, each one scored independently. So what is your final score? Well, interestingly enough, your score is not the sum of them added together. Instead, it is your highest of all the 3. For example, if you're able to lose all your votes and get down to a social standing of 2, but still have a wealth of something like 25, you're probably not going to win the game because your score is still 25, which is not that great. So it's about balancing all 3 of these areas so that way you can score the lowest possible. So we talked about the general categories and how they are handled, but how is the game actually played? Well, essentially, it's a worker placement game. You're going to be taking one of these top hats, which symbolifies one of your errand boys, and sending them out on the board. Different board actions do different things, once again depending on the category. But overall, they do 2 things. They can do a simple action depending on that board, or you can use them to collect cards, which are going to be invaluable to playing the game. White border cards are single use and stay in your hand to be used at a later time, where black border cards have to be slotted into one of your 6 slots on your player board. So players are going to continue taking turns, taking actions, or picking up cards until all of their errand boys are used. Once that is done, you would then take actions with your cards. Like I said, white cards are single use, so once you play them, they are discarded from the game. But black-backed cards can be activated every single round, which means they have a recurring benefit that can be very useful to your strategy. Once everybody has taken as many card actions as they want, the round ends, you go to the next round, reset everything, and do it again for 5 rounds. So why do I like this game so much? Well, honestly, it all comes down to how it makes me feel. You see, in the beginning, you just feel completely overwhelmed with all of the tasks you have to get done with the limited amount of actions that you have. And you feel each and every task is completely insurmountable. But then slowly you start to get in this rhythm of, okay, I'm going down in votes. But money, I'm not losing enough money. So then you focus on that the next round. And slowly but surely, everything just starts to come down and coalesce into nothingness. So it's not really about a single feeling, but how the feelings change throughout the game. Because you start feeling completely and utterly overwhelmed. And then by the end, as long as you've played it somewhat well, you get this feeling of balance and tranquility as you get low on some of these categories. And that's not even to mention some of these amazing combos you can do with these cards. I don't have time to go into everything, but the way you activate some of these cards, both the white back and the black back, can be done in such an order that it just feels so satisfying. So yeah, I guess there isn't really a single way this board game makes me feel, and that's why I love it. Because it makes me feel overwhelmed, it makes me feel balanced, and it makes me feel satisfied with all of the combos. Which is kind of interesting, that makes me feel 3 different ways considering there are 3 different categories. So I just want to end talking about the fact that this board is completely modular. You do not have to play with all 3 categories, even though I have every single time. If the game does seem a little too insurmountable, you and your group can choose to play with only 2 of the categories and still get the feeling of the game. But not only that, Prodigals Club is technically a sequel of a game by the same designer, Vladimír Suchý, called Last Will. In Last Will, you're basically doing one of these categories, which is the money version, which you're attempting trying to lose as much money as possible. But what's amazing about how Prodigals Club is made is that you can physically take this game, remove one module from the board, and insert this game instead. So yes, you can play with your social standing and your votes, and include Last Will into playing Prodigals Club. Which is something that I have not done yet, because honestly, Last Will I got somewhat recently and have not gotten to the table. But it's something I'm so excited to do just to see how it changes up the gameplay. And on that note, I do want to mention one negative that I don't like about this game. So at the end of every single round, these cards that are left on the board are discarded and new cards are laid out around the board. Which means by the end of your first game, you have seen every single card. Now that's not totally bad, because based on the shuffle and how the cards are laid out and who you're playing with and what actions you take, you will get different cards in each game. So I wish there were more cards in those decks, so that way I can see new cards each time I played. But honestly, that's the only thing I don't like. Prodigals Club is honestly a top 20 game for me. I love it that much. So I'm Ian, and those have been my feelings on Prodigals Club. Have you played it? What did you think? And what's another game that brings you on a roller coaster of different feelings? Leave your thoughts and feelings in the comments below, and now go experience many board feelings. I want to thank you all so much for watching my video. I know there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other board game content creators out there, and you took your time to watch this one, so thank you so much. If you like what you see, consider subscribing. You can do that right here. And if you want to see more of my videos, you can click right up here to see more. And down here is just a video that YouTube thinks you may like. So once again, thanks for watching.